Oh, here we go again. Have you noticed how every couple of months the media just can't help themselves and start shouting from the rooftops, Meghan Markle is coming back to the royals? Like, seriously, is this some sort of ritual now? The way those headlines pop up is almost comical. Meghan poised for royal return. King Charles wants Meghan back. The monarchy needs Meghan. Really? We're still doing this storyline? Because honestly, from where the public's standing, the last thing that dusty old palace needs is more Meghan-Harry drama. That circus has been running non-stop since the day they stormed out. And here's where the plot gets spicy. Reports claim King Charles isn't just suggesting Meghan return, he's insisting, like, not, would you please, but you must. Meanwhile, Harry's busy getting snapped at Heathrow like it's some grand symbolic act, landing back in the UK on the very anniversary of the Queen's death. Really, Harry? Could you make it any more obvious you're playing the symbolism card? Especially while William and Kate were over at Sunningdale honoring the Queen with dignity, grace, and respect. A total contrast. While Will and Kate were keeping it classy, Meghan's narrative was already bubbling up again. She's ready to sacrifice everything to return. Oh, give us a break. Sacrifice? Girl, if wearing pantyhose once upon a time was traumatic enough to complain about for half a decade, maybe, just maybe, royal life wasn't your calling to begin with. Meghan's out here still whining about stockings while Catherine shows up, smiles, works through engagements, and never once demands praise for it. That contrast alone screams volumes. And then there's Prince William. Done. Finito. Word from palace insiders. He's standing his ground. And honestly, can anyone blame him? This is a man who literally watched his grandmother carry the weight of the crown for 70 years. He knows the stakes, he knows the legacy, and now he's supposed to just sit back while Meghan waltzes in, acting like nothing ever happened? Not happening. William is protecting his wife, his kids, his future, and the very crown itself. And every time the media tries to paint him as some cold villain for saying no thanks, they conveniently skip over the fact that Harry and Meghan left first. They bailed. They signed those Netflix deals. They trashed their own family on international TV. And now, surprise, when Hollywood's tired of them, they suddenly want back in. Let's talk motives. Why do Meghan and Harry suddenly want back? Because their stock is down, plain and simple. The Hollywood sparkle is fading. The brand isn't selling like it used to. The political friends are distancing. Even foreign leaders are over it. Remember Jamaica? Yep, when Harry and Meghan suddenly turned up on a red carpet, uninvited, and threw the whole event into chaos. The Jamaican Prime Minister himself apparently had to call the king to apologize for the mess, like, your son and his wife just crashed the party and it was awkward. Next level embarrassing. And now Meghan's said to be demanding a full royal comeback, not as a humble request, but as her right. Picture it, Meghan strutting in like, bow to me, curtsy to me. The audacity. Meanwhile, the press is still spoon-feeding puff pieces, selling her as the monarchy's missing puzzle piece. But William? He's drawing the line with bold strokes. And rightly so, because the royal family already gave Harry and Meghan everything. Titles, status, a platform, goodwill, and what did they do? Tossed it all aside for Oprah specials and Spotify flops. Now King Charles, bless him, seems oddly open to the idea of a reunion. Maybe it's guilt, maybe it's fatherly love, maybe he just wants to stop the drama. But here's the catch. Being a dad and being a monarch are not the same job. William gets that. As future king, he knows the long game. He knows that letting Meghan back in risks turning Buckingham Palace into the Meghan and Harry Show Season 2. And absolutely nobody wants that rerun. But here's where it cuts deeper. Meghan's image has always been crafted like some fairy tale rebel, the misunderstood outsider, the trailblazer shaking up centuries of royal tradition. But when you strip away the Netflix gloss and polished interviews, a very different story appears. Her short run as a working royal, it was chaotic. It wasn't just mean press, it was full-blown internal tension. Staff crying, resignations, calls for investigations. Let's not forget that infamous palace bullying report that, to this day, still hasn't been released. Convenient, right? Why hasn't the palace dropped that report? Because it would open the floodgates. It might expose just how bad things got, and maybe even reveal how they bent rules to shield other royals like Prince Andrew while skirting around Meghan and Harry's mess. Silence speaks volumes, but just because the palace is zipped up, the public isn't blind. We've all heard the stories. Meghan allegedly throwing tea at staff, Meghan allegedly tearing into aides. These tales didn't just come from nowhere. They stack up from multiple sources, people who gain nothing by speaking out. And let's talk loyalty, or lack of it. Meghan didn't just walk away, she torched every bridge on her way out. Oprah interview, Netflix doc, Harry's tell-all. It's been one long, non-stop dig at the same family that once embraced her. Even when Catherine was battling cancer, Meghan's camp didn't hesitate to stir up more chaos. And that's the heart of it. Meghan and Harry keep trashing the very house they once lived in, while simultaneously expecting the door to always be open. That's not family drama, that's entitlement. Now Harry. Oh, Harry doesn't get off scot-free here. In many ways, he's the bigger disappointment. This is a man who knew the system, who grew up in it. He knew the meaning of duty, saw it firsthand his whole life, and yet he stood by, letting Meghan stomp all over it and even cheered her on. He turned his pain into profit and then had the nerve to fly back to the UK, dropping off token donations and hoping people would clap. But the public's done with the act. They see it. Brand management disguised as sincerity. And don't get me started on the media obsession. Out of nowhere, random waves of articles push Meghan's return like it's some royal fantasy plot. Always suspiciously timed, too. Just before big royal events or delicate moments like the Queen's death anniversary, suddenly she's ready to sacrifice, open to return, willing to forgive. Forgive? Excuse me? Who exactly is supposed to be begging for forgiveness here? Because from where most of us sit, Meghan hasn't done a single thing to earn her way back. So the idea that they can just glide back in, all is forgiven, let's hug it out. That's not reconciliation, that's delusion. The public remembers too much. They remember Meghan mocking royal customs like they were a joke. They remember her whining about tights and tiaras while enjoying the perks of palaces and titles. They remember Harry sneering at his family, painting them as cold and unfeeling while conveniently forgetting that this same family stood by him through scandals and heartbreaks. What the public doesn't remember, a single sincere apology, any sign of humility, any effort to genuinely repair the damage. Instead, they've watched the Sussexes milk the drama, documentaries, books, endless PR campaigns, a whole empire built on the very crown they supposedly rejected. Even the royal website still lists them, with links pointing straight to their personal promotional projects. How wild is that? When the Duchess of Kent passed away, her name was taken off the site in hours. Yet Harry and Meghan, who have publicly torched the institution, are still displayed like proud working royals. It's baffling. It sends the worst possible message. Trash the crown, profit off the chaos, and keep your foot in the door just in case you want back in later. And here's another awkward question. Why hasn't Meghan reconciled with her own family? Her father, the man who helped launch her early career, has been shut out. Her siblings have all spoken out saying the same thing. She cuts ties, expects loyalty, and plays the victim while acting like the aggressor. How can she demand unconditional loyalty from the royals when she can't even repair the relationships in her own bloodline? It paints a picture, and it's not a flattering one. At this point, whispers about her considering a royal return feel less like duty and more like strategy. Let's be honest, it's a rebrand. A desperate move to claw back influence as her Hollywood shine fades. Netflix numbers are dipping. The Spotify deal collapsed in flames. The brand isn't booming. So where does Meghan turn? Back to the very monarchy she branded as cold, racist, and oppressive. The irony is painful, but Meghan and Harry don't seem to understand one crucial thing. Respect isn't a crown you can just put back on. It has to be earned, slowly, through humility, honesty, and consistency. 3 traits that neither has exactly showcased. And William? He knows this. He sees through the PR smokescreens, the staged photo ops, the carefully crafted narratives. He knows the difference between a genuine apology and a publicist's pitch, and that's why he's standing firm. Because let's not sugarcoat it. Letting Meghan and Harry back into the fold wouldn't be an act of grace. It would be a betrayal of his grandmother's legacy, a betrayal of the very duty that defines the monarchy. William knows the monarchy isn't perfect, but it's built on something sacred, duty above self, and he's proving more and more that he's willing to carry that weight without compromise. At the end of the day, this saga isn't about forgiveness or second chances. It's about survival. The monarchy can't afford to gamble its credibility on 2 people who've turned betrayal into a business model. Charles may waffle, but William isn't bending. And as gossip-hungry as the press might be, the truth is plain. The Meghan Markle comeback fantasy is just that, a fantasy. Because the monarchy doesn't need Meghan. It never did.